Hello, my fellow pilots, and welcome again to another episode of Star Citizen FM. This is a special episode of Star Citizen FM, as I have our very own community member, Nikki, here with Star Citizen AA. She is here for an interview today, and Nikki, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Doc, and I guess I'm going to have you on my show, too, because I'm here with Star Citizen Addicts Anonymous to interview you. I guess we got some things crossed. So who goes first?
Why don't we deal this the old Russian, way and just load up a six-chamber and see who wins?
No, I've watched too many of those Deer Hunter movies.
Yeah, it's actually what went through my head that specific moment.
One shot!
That was an actually very crazy scene. Props to that director for doing that. Regardless, very nice to finally have you on the show. I've been wanting to talk to you for a bit because you kind of sprang out of nowhere to me, and in all honesty, you are almost parallel to what Star Citizen FM is, except for you are more good looking than I am.
Oh, thank you. I don't know about that. I've only seen you once in a very fuzzy movie.
Well, there's that, and then I think I also on the live stream where they decided to make me drink moonshine, and that ended well.
That's right, I didn't see that.
And then there's Legante versus King Shadow. I've done it. I've shown my face a few times, but generally try to hide it. So let us start off here. Like, what got you into doing the broadcasting? Because, like I said, you kind of just pop. Here's Nikki, and took me by surprise. And it's nice to always see more, community members doing podcasts and etc. But you've seemed pretty adamant on it right now. And what made you start?
Well, I've been toying with podcasts and videos for years and years, and I've owned a domain called The Addicted Gamer since probably about 8 years ago. And there was a podcast, which nobody will find, called The Addicted Gamer. I did about 20 episodes, and I used a format similar to my last two interviews with Ben and Sandy. In fact, I think it was almost exactly the same. And what actually happened was my boys have been playing Battlefield and Call of Duty Ghosts, going crazy with it. And they wanted to start streaming. So I said, I'll figure it out. And in the process of me figuring it out, I found a game called Kerbal Space Program, and Scott...
Oh my god.
And Scott Manley, who I absolutely adore Scott Manley's his videos. I love his videos.
My interview with him?
Yeah, and he won't answer my call, so you're going to help me get him on my show.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and Scott did a video which I copied, and I begged his permission, and he never answered me, and then I begged forgiveness afterwards, which was before Star Citizen, there was Wing Commander, and I copied that video, and I talked about my experiences with Wing Commander, and the first time I saw that video, I was like, before there was, from Wing Commander to Star Citizen or something like that, and I was like, is Chris Roberts getting into the Richard Branson gig where he's going to start trying to create like Spaceship One and stuff? So I just let it go from one end to the other, and then I saw his video again, and I watched it, and I was like, oh, that's a good game. And then on August 26th, the game sucked me in, and I haven't looked back since. And, I just had to talk, and I started doing the Admirals Club, which turned into Addicts Anonymous. I started the thread in the subscribers den called I'm Beginning to Get Addicted, and that was the end of it. So as soon as that happened and people jumped on, I kept doing videos, and people kept on egging me on and saying, they're wonderful, keep doing them. And then people started liking my throwbacks to Wing Commander, Freelancer, Strike Commander, Starlancer. So I do it really for me, and now I'm doing it for the community. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, and honestly, that's one of the best ways to view it, so
all right.
pat on the back for yourself.
Thank you. Now you owe me a question.
No!
Yes.
Right.
Your question is the question I ask everybody that's on my show. What was the first computer that you owned that you gamed on?
The first computer that I owned, and I'm saying this in quotations because it was my parents', my father specifically, was one of the original Apple MacBooks, the black clunker, and that was the first time I played Pathways into Darkness, which then led me into Marathon, which has shaped me into the Halo addict that I am today.
Bungie, Microsoft, bad, evil people that stole Bungie away from Apple.
No, I still love Bungie, and people can say what they want about Halo, but just
I think it's
those guys. So that is what the first device I ever played on, and then after that it was on more Mac computers. I was actually raised in a very Mac Pro environment, yet for some reason I'm the only PC guy in the house and family in general. So that kind of goes over odd when we all get together.
Well, we'll get you back because I work for Apple, and we'll figure out a way to, reprogram you again.
Can I put a Titan in a Mac yet?
No, but you don't want a Titan anymore. Come on, Star Citizen supports Mantle.
But I have a Titan.
Hey, that's good. You can have whatever you want. I have to build a computer for Star Citizen.
I'll build two. So in my return, that's actually a good follow-up question. You plan to game, obviously, and I've have family members. Have they pledged for Star Citizen? Have you dragged the kids into it, or have they still glued to Battlefield?
They're 13, and they'll go where I lead them, not where I push them. Currently, they're very, 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 very tied to. They're twins, so one is on Call of Duty Ghosts, and the other one's on Battlefield 4, and they fight about which one's better all the time.
Well, I support the one that plays Battlefield. So
yeah, I think it's a better game. But will they come in? My thinking now. Here's my thinking about it. They're both playing FPS games, so I've got one other account, and my idea is that I'll be playing on my PC, and then I'll have my Mac over here, and whichever one isn't on the Xbox at the time is going to be in the back of whatever ship I have, ready to attack any borders or invade any ships I happen to disable. That a good plan?
It's a smart idea. Just hopefully they belt themselves down. Also, you want his child bouncing around and you constantly. Oops, sorry about that.
We'll have to pad the inside of my Aurora, or maybe my Avenger.
Pad it like one of those psychiatric ward rooms. All the mattresses. There you go. Welcome to Nikki's Constellation. You can bounce on it. Boing, boing, boing.
Nikki's Constellation, Nikki's Retaliator, Nikki's Gladiator. I think I went over the hog wild.
Yeah, I don't have that much money.
All right, so your turn. What was the first game that had you addicted?
The first game that had me addicted would probably have to be Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider and Tomb Raider 2 tied with MechWarrior. And I say tied because one of them I could play on the PC, the other I could play on the Mac. So when I was at my father's, it was Tomb Raider, and when I was at my mother's, it was MechWarrior. And MechWarrior has... Are
you talking about the original MechWarrior from Sierra?
The original MechWarrior. I pretty much played every single one, including... Well, Mech Commander, which no, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk. No.
We don't talk about Mech Commander or MechWarrior Online anymore. But yeah, so MechWarrior shaped my simulator craving. Tomb Raider, sort of the opening. Then that followed into Doom and Quake. Quake being something I got really into. So pretty much anything I find interesting, I kind of, if you're familiar with the term content locust. I just burn through it as hard as I can.
Yeah, do you find that fun?
Yes, I do actually, because depending on the game, I see completing a game as just a challenge like any other puzzle. Like, I see a jigsaw puzzle on the table here, sure, try to complete it. There is one game only to this date that has not let me complete it, quote unquote, and that is Dark Souls, and that is why I'm a Dark Souls fan to this date, and will probably disappear for a few months after Dark Souls 2 comes out, mostly because it just resets every time you beat it, and expects you to keep going, so fine by me.
Alright.
So, actually, that's a fair question to retort. What was your first game that you got addicted to?
Elite. I had a
Damn.
Commodore 64. I had gotten my first analog joystick, or is it a digital joystick? I can't remember. It was a digital joystick. And I picked up a copy of Elite at EB Games, or maybe Walden Books when they were selling games. And I went home, I put it into the little drive from my Commodore 64, and I was just starting community college, and I got sucked in, and it was one of those games that just, it's like I'm like looking at my rating, I'm looking at how many kills I have and how much money I made and where I can make the best deals, and I was like, oh god, this is crazy. Why am I playing this game so much? And I remember specifically my mom coming into my room one morning going, did you play that game all fucking night? Excuse my language. We can't say that, right? Did you play that game?
Fine.
Yeah. Did you guys play that game all night? We were from New York. My mom cursed a lot when she was alive. She's probably cursing at me right now.
Yeah. Then you look at the clock. It's like, oh, it's 8 a.m. and I have to be in school.
See, now I'm coughing. She got me back. No, but and it just had me totally addicted. I played Elite 2. And Frontier, I think that was the same game, and now that game is back, but it's 200 British, pound. How do you say it? Pounds British sterling. It's 200. Yeah. It's 200 pounds, 200 quid, to actually get into the alpha, and I'm like, no, who would ever spend that much money on a game?
Well, it's all. Wait. Oops. Well, then, I think we did.
How much was my constellation again?
There's a few people I know who are already in, the 5-digit numbers. It's like, well, you could have bought a truck with that, but okay.
Well,
fair enough.
We've added up the ships that we have in my organization, the Enablers, and I think we have the gross national product of a small nation.
Very nice. So we know that you're a large contributor to Star Citizen.
Not me, but there are people in my group. It's like Grand Admirals are in my group, many of them, and one completionist and many wing commanders.
Oh, there you go. I guess that gives some good figures right away to some of the viewers.
Yeah. So, it's a good question. Did I answer it well enough? It was
Elite. I think so.
Yeah, I can't wait for Elite Dangerous. All right, so your question will be... All right, I try to go into background questions after I do that. So what type of work were you doing before? Like, you just got a job, you said, right?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I find some of the citizens know I was a little rocky for a bit. I still graduated from college and trying to actually find out what to do in the game industry, and it's not as easy to get into as I thought. So for sustenance, I've done multiple jobs, and currently I work at Spruceland Millworks, which is a lumber yard west of the city, and I assemble rig mats, and these are basically large 10 by 18 foot platforms that are used in the oil industry, that they lay them down on the marshland. The old trucks and derricks are set up on them, and when they're done, they pack them up, tear them up, and leave the land to regenerate, as opposed to just driving on the land and destroying it. Greenpeace sanctioned, and
I like
with the way things are looking, I might actually finally be able to move back out again, and be independent and get a green screen and dance around looking all goofy. I don't know. Haven't decided yet.
As I look back at my green screen, I found eBay. eBay had a green screen for very little money, but I don't know if you could do that in Canada.
Oh, I could figure it out. I've done stuff like that before.
Yeah.
So
my 2 lights and my green screen were only $129.
I should actually make a quick shout out, by the way, to some of you who might know Sentinel or OddGod. He had a large part in help getting me employed, so thank you very much, Sentinel.
Awesome.
Yeah, he actually lives right beside me and happens to work there too, so it was like, oh. He's also the one that left me the scotch during the then 30 million stretch goal, which everyone thought was big, and now we're almost at, we are almost at 40. I'm waiting for 100 million.
Yeah, 100 million, we're probably looking at after the game goes live at this point.
It could happen.
Oh, it's going to happen.
So one question I've been kind of curious about, I've dealt with a lot of people who are actually part of AA in real life, mostly just to their life circumstances. What made you pick Citizen AA? That's in the current day and age, a lot of people like to blame games as being an addiction.
All right.
And yes, they can be, but it's also something that's fought against at the same time, being that, anything can be an addiction, not just games. Want to elaborate on that?
It's kind of... It's so hard to explain. I kind of fell into it and didn't really want it to be that. I just didn't know what to call it. But the original podcast I did was The Addicted Gamer. And The Addicted Gamer did not poke fun at people for playing games. Essentially, the whole idea of that original podcast was to show how people were healthy family members, they were developers, they were members of the community, and how well they were able to, do in real life and play a game. So it was a play on the word. When I started doing the original few videos, which by the sheer accidental hitting of a delete button on YouTube, I accidentally deleted episode 1 this week. The original name was the Admirals Club. Oh, it's alright. It had 200 views. But the original name was the Admirals Club. And somebody said to me, it's really good, you have great stuff there, you're going to get better over time, but if you call it the Admirals Club, you're going to be leaving out a lot of the people that aren't admirals. They're going to think that's what they have to be to watch your video.
Yeah.
So I fell back in, and my thread was, I'm beginning to get addicted. And then it somehow became edited to be AKA Star Citizens Addicts Anonymous, and that's in the subscribers den. And I renamed the actual, I renamed the videos that, and I understand that there are people that fight addiction. I had a mom that was an alcoholic. I have a brother that's an alcoholic, and I think that it can be looked at negatively in that situation, but it was more a play on, we're not addicts. We love this game. We totally trust Chris Roberts to deliver us a game that we're going to love to play. So I wish I had a different name for it, but I think now that I'm in production of episode 16, I think this works, So it's kind of like I'm not stuck with it, I'm living with it. I'm going to make it work.
Well, I never did say it was a bad name, honestly. If you said you've been watching my shows, I think some citizens will still remember episode 1 of Citizen Radio. Within about 2 hours, I had a cease and desist. So I think everyone, there is already an official Citizen Radio podcast that has existed for quite some time. So again, to you guys, I apologize for that. Well, and that resulted in Star Citizen FM.
I like that. I love your name.
It was literally just me thinking of Star Citizen. What can I add to the FM? Done.
That was good. That works. And it's catchy. And it's one of the first ones I picked up. I think it's because when I hit the website, I started looking for things to watch, and it was right there in the fan sites. And I said, oh, look at all these people that are in here. So you and Sonny's Diner were the first 2 I jumped on.
Well, thank you very much. It means a lot. Honestly, I think I'm a smaller fish now. I've seen like the Romantics and that. And
but the Romantics...
I gotta start throwing some video out there. I think people probably get bored of just listening to me.
I don't think so. I think Wes does an amazing job at recapping the news for the people that don't want to watch it. And I watch his show every week, so the Romantics is good, but it's a recap of the news, right? And
it's what I used to do. If you remember. I used to do Wingman's Hangar recaps, and then eventually I just burned out. I'm like, hey, you know what? I want to do something that's just me.
And when I started seeing Wes do that, I'm like, Wes does that exceptionally well. And maybe about 5 videos ago, I started looking at it like, you know what? People want to know your take on it, not because they have these review shows, and some of them that were better than mine. So I'm like, let me start doing what I do best. So I did that. I moved out. So That was your question to me. Where are we? I got off on a tangent.
You had a question for me, I believe.
I have a question.
We're still following that format.
I have a question for you.
Oh,
all right. So the last one that we had was about what you're doing now.
Yes.
So you went to school. Okay. When you look at the gaming field,
Yes.
what is your dream job in the gaming industry? Don't say Star Citizen.
Well, I guess I can't answer.
No, you can. No, you can.
Well, my dream job, of course, would be to work with Chris Roberts one day on Star Citizen. But in a generalist view, it would be something in games. It used to be that I wanted to be like a level designer in BioWare because I live right beside them, or so and so. Yes, I do.
You live next to BioWare. Could you go beat them up for the initial release of Star Wars: The Old Republic?
Whoa! Some of these guys are really nice. My father happens.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
My father has many of them as patients, so that's how I got hooked up. It's like, oh, hey, Luke, here's a business card. Where did you get that? Anyways, back to
when were you born in this? You were born in the 80s.
92.
92. Okay.
90, so I'm 21.
All right.
But back to your question, something just in games. I have found myself that I'm more of an artistic individual than I am analytical, or I don't think myself very smart. So in that field, I don't see myself being a doctor like my father. I have found that I enjoy games for what they are. I find them as a story that you let a person participate in and experience it in the same fashion as one would a book or a movie or just a fable. It allows you to experience a story, and I find the way of storytelling and the way that you partake in these fables is interesting. It's technical. There's a lot of assets and art that needs to be made. There's people that need to code to build the engine, and I just find it a very interesting. I'd say I'm losing words now. I just find it a very fascinating career. And at first, I wanted to do something like just specific, but now I'm just sort of broadening into what my skill set is, and trying to find how to polish up my portfolio, or at least pieces, so one day I can contribute to the same thing.
Okay.
If that makes any sense.
No, it actually does. It's good.
Because if I could continue on here on a tangent, I look at Star Citizen, and in the last few years that I've been alive, and I'm young, so I can't say I have all the wisdom in the world, I have seen more community members and people, just random strangers, band together and share this passion for a game that isn't even out yet technically, and if I'm not trying to be mean to them, not much to show for it than I have back since Halo 2.
Right.
Or, back when Quake, when I was really young, when people were still just doing LAN parties and tournaments at their basements. It's a feeling that's been absent, and that's, for me, is what keeps making me want to, tell my friends and family, yeah, this is why I chose this and not, a medical degree.
Okay. Well, I think that's wonderful. I do, because it's doing... I don't know which one of my family's members said this, and it's something that made me change from being a restaurant manager to working for, IBM and then Apple. If you're not doing what you love, when you're not going to be able to look back on your life and love what you did.
That can be true. I will agree with that fully. I did take some university, and I had the mindset I was going to get a bachelor's in sociology and psychology.
Yeah.
I quickly burned out of that. I love the study. I took away from it some things that shape my life now. But when I realized my career path, where it would lead me, and really there's not a whole lot in my view I saw myself doing, it just is like, this is not really what I wanted.
Right. All right.
So, in retrospect, you actually brought up an interesting point for me. You've said a few times you're a Mac person. We don't even know or at least as far as I last checked, no, Star Citizen will be Mac worthy.
Never.
Yeah, so
Never. I would say don't try to put it on Linux. Just make it a PC game. Because if you could run Linux, you could run PC, right?
Right.
Make it a PC game because this game is going to need to push the limits. And right now, where I know you can make a game on the Apple side that pushes the limits of everything graphical, people would laugh at me if I said that, but it's OpenGL. And OpenGL could do everything that DirectX could do today, I think.
Starbound uses OpenGL.
Yeah, well, Starbound...
It's doing very well
Talk
for
about
itself.
Another addictive game, Starbound. Yeah, Minecraft meets Terra, meets going to other planets. Yeah, we won't talk about that.
I regret buying my girlfriend, like, and no, dear, I love you, it's okay, don't beat me up when I get home. She watches this, so it'll be like, I didn't say that. Yeah, she quite enjoys that game.
Well, but don't beat him up.
I have noticed right away that compared to Minecraft, let's say, which runs in Java, which I have to this day shoot, it runs fairly well for itself. So
I like
you
it.
can do a lot of stuff.
I like it a lot. Well, my truly addictive game is Kerbal Space Program, and that runs in Unity. So
Unity's not that bad, though. My first game level was in Unity.
No, it's not bad, but Unity 64-bit stinks right now, and they got to get to 64-bit to make games better.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
a friend of mine, we're both trying to run the multiplayer mod, and we've been running around in circles when it just decides to fart on us. So
you don't have to worry. They're doing squads, bringing that out. So you asked me about the PC stuff, right? So was your question going to go about how am I going to play this game?
No, it was just mostly around. I'm not sure if you're Mac affiliate or PC affiliate. Like,
well,
what is your official stance?
I work for Apple.
And there we go.
No. This is gonna see. I have to be very, 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 because this is so. I have to be very careful in the way that I answer any of these statements, right? Because,
I just like bringing it up for the sake of conflict.
The thing is, I was a PC only person for 10 years. I started off with the Commodores and the Amiga, and if they had stayed around instead of playing games with telling people about how much money they were making when they were making nothing, I would probably still be a Commodore Amiga person today. When I chose my PC, it was for the game Wing Commander. It was only out on PC, and I needed to build a PC, so I built a PC for Wing Commander. To me, the fact that I'm building a PC for Star Citizen is kind of, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's not nostalgic. It's kind of like fate. You know what I mean? It's like this man has caused me to twice in my life build a PC. It in no way, shape, or form means that I would leave a Mac. I still think Macs are the best computers that you could use for everyday stuff. There's nothing good about Windows for everyday, or better about Windows for everyday stuff, or better than a Mac. But for things like games, it's not that the Mac doesn't handle it, it's that the companies don't support it. So I have to go out and build a PC for this game. And I'm not unhappy about that, because I think it's fun putting all those parts together. But when you look at it, you know, we're really a 1 to 5 percentile of all the computers in the world are being built for games, right?
Right.
So big deal. So it's something fun to do. It's like putting together a kit car, a kit plane, and then standing back and looking at it and saying, wow, I did that, you know?
An analogy I like to use to a lot of people that are holding the PC Mac debate is I view PCs as tuner cars. You can do whatever the hell you want to them. You get yourself a Nissan GT, you can pretty much, the sky's the limit. Yet you're going to have some upkeep. Not everybody's going to know how to do it, and probably only you knows how you built it in the first place.
Right.
As where Macs, on the other hand, are more like supercars. You get a nice, sexy, Pagani Huayra right in front of you, ready to go fast, just pedal to the metal. But you don't see anyone putting a lift kit or, neon lights on one of those, do you?
Wait, I was watching... What was I watching? I was watching Top Gear the other day, and they had Matt LeBlanc on.
Oh boy.
And they were like, because he's doing the Matt LeBlanc show now, and they were like, you are the only person to go out and buy this car, and I think it was like a 959, and then bring it to a shop and have it tricked out. And he goes, well, I saw somebody else buy one, and I figured since I was the guy that always knew all these cars, and I'm listening to him say this, and it sounded like Joey from Friends for a second. And he goes, I figured, mine should go faster than his. I was like, you took a 959 to a trick store and tricked it out?
Just because.
Just because he can. Just because he can.
Yeah,
oh, God.
and that is pretty much how I essentially view computers, because normally, unless you're Matt LeBlanc, you don't need to change a supercar, and you don't need to change a Mac.
No, but
it comes ready to go.
I would definitely paint the 959 my car. No, that's about it.
So you would say yourself you're more of, I guess you would say,
I'm a technology
jack of all trades. You just use what's efficient for the job at the time.
My iMac has an i7 3.4 gigahertz with a GTX 680 MX with 2 gigs of RAM in it and 16 gigs of DDR3 1600 gigahertz RAM, 1600 megahertz RAM. I'm running Windows on one partition, Windows 8.1, and I'm running the Mac obviously on the main partition. So that's what I have now. But because it's a GTX 680 MX, it's not a GTX 680. Yeah. So in order for me to get the performance that I'm going to need to run Star Citizen the way I want to see it, I've got to go and build a PC. So I was thinking about having a segment on my show, Nikki Builds a PC, but I get some people saying, don't do that, buy every part at once. And I'm like, it's like being a single, mom at 48 years old and having enough money to go out and buy all the components to build a computer in 1 month, when I could be doing it little by little by little, and then have one grand finale show and saying, and she turns it on, and blue smoke comes out of it. That would be awesome.
Well, if it's any consolation, the first time I turned on my computer, I had missed that my Asus Maximus motherboard had a few power cords that I wasn't used to. It had been a while since I'd actually touched a new motherboard.
Yeah.
I plugged in all the main power cords and missed the 2-prong one.
Oh. So it turned out nothing happened?
Yeah, and, it turned on. It started up, but nothing on the screen. I'm like, what did I do? What did I do? What did I do? And then, of course, it blue screened after I fixed that problem, because apparently the drivers that came with the disk had a overclocking feature that conflicted with my BIOS, and that caused it blue. But it's like, yep, I'm uninstalling those drivers. Don't need them. I'll just get the official ones from the website.
And that's why the faint of heart should only buy a Mac, and the rest of the people that game should buy whatever they want.
Well, I've pretty much resorted to just buying more Titans until I decide to completely make another computer for Mantle, because I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I know. I know. Mantle. Thanks.
Yay, $5,000 computer, and now we have Mantle.
Yeah.
Are you freaking kidding me?
A 290 is only $400. It's not bad. You could just drop it into what you have now.
Yeah, I'll figure something out.
And you could sell your Titan online for someone that wants to play something different.
Well, I also use 3ds Max and a lot of different programs too. So for the work part of it, I love the Titan, because it's just like, render a 30-minute episode of SCFM. That'll be done in 10 minutes.
Yeah. All right. So, your question. You said, no, I can ask you questions, because it's not self-indulging if I ask you questions about the next great Star Citizen. Next great starship. Ooh, wine does affect you, doesn't it? Never mind. And
now we know that Nikki is drunk, ladies and gentlemen.
No, Nikki doesn't get drunk. Nikki gets tipsy sometimes, but never drunk. That's not ladylike. So you and your team, how many people are on your team?
There's 3 of us. There is Kaji-san, Pleasure, and Dr. Hawk.
And where are they all from? You're from Alberta.
Alberta, redneck town, and then
Georgia. That's redneck, but that's okay. I like Georgia.
And then Kaji-san and Pleasure are both from over in Europe and Germany, and interesting team as we have a pond between us.
What did you make as a weapon?
Just like everyone else, a particle cannon, a rotary autocannon of sorts.
Well, I know everybody did the same.
Details.
Yeah, and you don't know if you're allowed to tell me the details.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to be. I'm like, can I?
All right, then we won't talk about it. Oh God, I wasn't looking for inside information.
Well, I would have. I just at this point, I remember reading the TOS. I'm like, I don't remember because I know once we hand it over, it becomes CIG's property.
That's right. That's right. It's everything that you do for this competition is theirs to do with as they want. But you know, with how they tore some of those people up last week, good luck.
Yeah. Well, in that case, do you want to ask a backup question?
Backup question? Yeah. Let's get off that. So, how did you find Star Citizen?
Star Citizen, I actually found out through Destructoid. It's a gaming website I frequent, and I can't say I'm a golden ticket pledger. Unfortunately, I wasn't that early, but I remember at the time I was actually scouring for a space game to play because I had gotten off Eve. I was pissed off. I was done. I still have all my ships and money. Just the gameplay itself. I'm like, you know what? Fuck this game. I just have no patience for it anymore.
You're talking about Eve now, right?
Eve Online. I love the game.
Space.
Yes, and it's awesome. It's just the game. I wanted, controller. I wanted flying around. I wanted first-person view. I didn't want to click on my target and kick him with, bigger boots than he had, which is pretty much what combat feels like in Eve sometimes.
I can't wait for the dogfighting module. It's not fair.
And that's what I'm waiting for too. So for me, it was just looking around on the, Google searching good space games to play, and just so happened to be like Star Citizen Kickstarter. I'm like, well, I'm not sleeping for the next 8 hours. Click, refresh, please. Oh my God, it's past 2. Whoa. Okay.
Did you pledge anything?
Yes, I've pledged a few. My first ship I got. Yes.
Okay.
I got the 300i, which I've since given away in a competition.
I saw that.
Ben Lesnick and friends over at CIG gave me a 350R, and that I will hold dearly to my heart because
so lucky.
Just because it was given to me, I was like, yeah, this ship is never leaving my hangar ever, except when I take it. I have a Hornet F7C now, courtesy.
Awesome.
That was another gift. I have a Avenger, another gift. Most of those have been gifts. Most of the money that I've given has been through my subscriber status and other things like the Hornet skin they did for Veterans Day, because I have a lot of veteran friends. I'm very pro-military, and I was going to join at the time, and then I had surgery.
Wait. You're Canadian.
Yes.
There is no pro-military.
Okay, if you want to get to that conversation,
I'm just kidding.
Pacifistic and peacekeeping.
No, just stop. We're just kidding. I have lots of friends from Canada, but they're from Toronto and BC, from Vancouver.
That point aside, I've pretty much given most of my money through subscriber. I wish they had.
By the way, thank you for giving away the veteran stuff. I'm a veteran.
Well, thank you very much for your service, then.
Yeah.
I personally wish they had a give us money button where it was just like, enter $100, pledge, done. Because I'm having a hard time pledging for ships, because as much as I love the game, I'm one of those people that if I buy everything off the bat, I lose inspiration to play.
Right.
And I need to have some challenge. Like, I don't mind the ships that are gifted, but it's just knowing that I would like to go out and earn my things. And, back to Dark Souls. Dark Souls did that very well. And it also kicked you in the nuts every time you achieved something, just to remind you that you were not the master of your own domain. So
right.
I'm hoping Star Citizen does the same thing, because I remember talking to Chris, and he really loved Demon Souls. So it'd be interesting to see if some mechanics, or at least ideas or inspirations, transfer over into Star Citizen.
I hope so. There's a lot of things that I see that can really take off, and I see some hindrances too. One of the things that scares me about this game right now, I don't believe in the pay-to-play, pay-to-win stuff. It's like people are already talking about it. There is no pay-to-win in a game that doesn't have an end, right?
I have supported Star Citizen and this argument by people who've asked me. It's like, oh, Luke or Hawk, it's just a pay-to-win game. You can buy a Retaliator. Or,
that's right, you can.
Aegis right off the bat. And you could pwn everyone. And I'm like, okay, let's put this in perspective of real life.
Good, you're doing the way I do.
You get to be a tank driver right off the bat. You have an M1 Abrams or Leopard A2. Can you drive it? No. That's usually the answer I get. So, yeah, you can buy whatever you want. Do they have the skill?
Well,
do they have the talent? Some of the people that I used to play Quake with were so good because that's all they did. They played Quake 24 hours a day, and the reason they could headshot you in the air with the railgun while doing a backflip and holding their cup of tea and constantly talking to their mom telling them to get off the computer was because they spent so much time and practiced. Just like any other great thing. And it was Miyamoto Musashi who said, practice makes perfect. Great, now I'm butchering a line, but practice, practice, practice. I'll just leave it at that.
Okay. Well, you know, where I see the game is that there is a certain pay-to-be-better element, right? And it's going to come with, like, Eve. When you start playing Eve, if you got in 10 years ago when the game went live, by now, you've got more skills than anybody that gets in the game is going to have for the next 5 years, right?
And money.
Yeah, and money, right? Right, and money. You have enough ISK to buy a small nation somewhere. Star Citizen's going to be the same. There's no doubt about it, right? Because the cost of equipping the ships, both Ben and Sandy and Chris, I should say all three, have restated this, that the ships themselves aren't going to be the biggest cost. Equipping the ships is going to be more expensive than the ships themselves, right?
Right.
So that's going to mean running missions. That's going to mean having to go all over the place now that Chris had that 10 for the chairman a couple of weeks ago when he said, you know, the best weapon might be on this side of the galaxy, the best ship might be on that side, the best equipment might, you know, like science station or something might be on this side. So after you've done...
Why am I suddenly thinking Dark Souls again?
Yeah.
I draw a lot of parallels to that game, so apologies in advance.
So when I look at that, I look at the endeavor I'm going into building my computer. I'm not going to just go buy a computer from one of the stores I work in for Apple. For, you know, I work in other retailers for Apple. You would call them Future Shop and Best Buy there.
Right.
I'm not going to just walk in there and walk out with a name brand computer and say, oh, I'm going to have the best computer in the world now, right? I'm going to have to go out and get myself the right graphic card. I'm going to get the right cooling unit. I'm going to have to get the right RAM, right? Because some latency on RAM is better than other latency on RAM. So in building a computer, you have that same drive to get faster and better. Where in this game, there are going to be people that are going to kick your butt day one out of the gate. And it's going to be because, you know what, they had the time, money, and drive to get all that stuff initially. But over time, you're going to be able to get just as good. You don't have to spend money like they did.
It sounds almost like you're saying equipment makes it better. I think what you are trying to say is that there are going to be some people right off the bat who are going to be better.
Well,
like,
they
look at anyone who's played flight simulators. Like I was raised on X-Plane and Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Right.
I'm even in progress of doing my flight training. And I remember the first...
I got my license.
Oh, well, geez, you got me beat.
Yeah.
I remember the first day I played Battlefield 4. I sucked. I could not get anyone. I was ready to rage quit. But I knew there was jets, and that was the reason I literally got it. My buddy said, okay, next match, Luke, why don't you just dedicate yourself to air?
Right.
I went 42-0.
Awesome.
And that was just mouse and keyboard. And by the end of it, he's like, what the fuck? And sorry, did you do it?
42-0?
Yeah, and I'm just like, I flew around and shot things. And every time somebody got the... What?
Luke, you are going to be... If you went 42-0 in Battlefield, I am going to be sucking you into my War Thunder squadron.
People have been trying to get me to play War Thunder.
You need to download that game.
I have it, but just don't play it.
Play it. If you went 42-0, you and I could be a force on that battlefield.
I've seen you play. We could set that up and even do like a Nikki and Dr. Hawk or something.
That would be awesome. Okay, keep talking.
but anyways, and for me, I just realized it's like, okay, well, I know what I'm good at here because, you know, Dad is like, I remember when I was 6, you know, plops what was it, the old Satec Cyborg? I forget what it was.
Cyborg, that was one of the joysticks that came apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was one of the ones. But and he just said, "Here, you're gonna fly an F-18," and he taught me how to taxi and fly. And now at Battle, like I'm not as good because everyone's starting to suddenly learn that the AA is very efficient at taking out aircraft. So I generally have to play more cautiously. But in the beginning, it was really nice because nobody ever looked up, and it's actually very amusing when you headshot somebody with a Vulcan gun. And they're like, "How did you do that? You're hacking." I'm like, "No, I just spot you and aim at the glowing orange thing, and that's close enough."
Well, in Battlefield, there is no ballistics, so everything travels on a straight trajectory. It doesn't
Battlefield,
drop.
they have Newtonian physics. It drops. Bullet drops.
Does? But from the aircraft? I thought just from the weapon.
Oh, I think the aircraft it does, but I'd have to look at the game files. But it's a lot straighter than
Yeah, I
shooting.
think I watched my one son Anthony. He plays that game like crazy, and I bought it for the PlayStation 4, and he still insists on playing it on the Xbox, which is all right, the old Xbox. But I'll play it on the PlayStation 4 every now and then. And when I'm using the, oh God, what's the helicopter I use?
Hind.
No, they all look like US. I just play on the test island, whatever it's called, the training island.
Oh, okay.
And I guess it's like they have a Black Hawk. I think they might have an Apache. No, a Cobra. The Cobra. I should know that from the Marines. So it's like when I'm shooting the Cobras, it's like laser. It's not like what you get in War Thunder. In War Thunder, the bullets drop. So you have to know where they converge at. In this, if you just fire, it will fire straight at the helicopter in front of you or the ground without that drop. It's crazy.
Well, game
fun.
aside,
It's fun as hell.
it's pretty fun,
It's fun.
just when it's like, "Hey, Luke, there's a sniper on the hill. You think you can get him?"
Yep.
Yeah, there you go, done.
Headshot. But how do you determine a headshot from a Vulcan?
It's
his whole
not all.
body
It's
is
not.
gone.
It'll show the little reticle when you kill somebody in Battlefield. It's just ticker, weapon, and then name person you killed. But if you headshot, there's a crosshair reticle, so it's like, oh, headshot.
Awesome.
It's not all the time, but it's just really amusing when you see it, and 9 times out of 10 the person calls you out. It's like, "That was PAX. You're using an aimbot." I'm like, honestly, no. I used about 3,000 rounds there, and probably one of them hit.
Yeah.
My accuracy in the game apparently is like 0.2%. I'm not surprised because I fired about 5 million rounds already in the game. It's kind of amusing. But anyways, we should probably get back to our interview here.
That's fine. We're allowed to get on tangents because. All right. So that was your question for me or mine for you?
I think we sort of mixed one in there, so I think why don't we go with one more for each, and I'll be the gentleman, let the ladies go first.
Oh, one more for each. Now I have to come up with the end question. I defer to the man that's in the white coat and the doctor badge.
Alrighty then. Where do you see yourself in Star Citizen? It's a simple question I like to ask a lot of people, as you may have known. I always ask, well, what do you see yourself doing in Star Citizen? But obviously, this is Nikki here we're talking about. You're a fellow podcaster. You probably have some mindset to do something in the universe, and I don't see you stopping anytime soon. So, Same question I ask most interviewees, but I'd like to hear the unique answer.
Okay. Well, as queen of the enablers, so we have our organization, which spun off of off of my thread, the Star Citizen AA thread, and one of the things is going to be to group with them. But honestly, the things that really draw me best to the game are the things that are probably part of Squadron 42 first. It's like every one of Chris Roberts' games that I played in the past, it wasn't the multiplayer aspect of it that Star Citizen's going to have with the player universe. It was that rich, dynamic feel of the campaign and be able to play it through over and over again and have different results each time, or not each time, but like 5 times through. That really drew me into it. Star Citizen kind of hit me from behind, like that part of it. I got drawn into Squadron 42. So when I look at Star Citizen, it's like exploration. I want to go, and it's like as they're releasing this $38 and $39 million goals where they're telling you about these systems that are out there, and they'll find the jump holes to get there. That's something that I aspire to do. But the game itself, what I see myself doing the most is just being able to be in it with the people that I like to be around, like the people that I've found in the den, in the subscribers den. It's being able to fly with other people. I think that's the thing that draws me in the most. And I have this kind of Pokemon look to the game now, where I have to, you know what I mean? Where I have to own them all, but I think I want to do it the way that I would normally do it, which is, I've got a number of ships now, but now they've told us we're going to have the Carrack and the Banu Merchantman and the Surveyor and the, you have all these ships coming out. I want there to be a lot for me to get by playing the game, by running the missions, by, trading, by being part of the universe. There's so much to this game. It's like you get overwhelmed with what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and honestly, that's something I'm going to be excited for. I'm going to revert to Dark Souls again, but the first time and I keep using it because it's like changed my life. I literally say it changed my life. The first time I got into Dark Souls, and just the way it presented itself is, here's an open world, there's no loading screens. We're not going to give you a tutorial, we're going to let you figure out what you got to do. Also, you can make your character any way you want, but everything can kill you, and nobody gives a flying sack of crap if you die.
Oh!
Yes, Dark Souls.
Why did I start thinking that was like a different game? Okay, I know what that is.
There we go.
All right.
And honestly, I'm excited to feel that same experience from Star Citizen. Knowing there's going to be, okay, well, this is how you fly a ship, and this is where we need you to go. But just that sense of, here's a game that has been masterfully crafted by a lot of people who want you to enjoy the experience that they themselves would want to play, and they're giving you the keys. I've played too many games nowadays, and I'm going to reference Medal of Honor Warfighter as the latest one that really pissed me off, that literally handholds you through the entire game. Go here, push A to do this, look here to win, here's a cookie. And it's like, I remember Quake Nightmare and Doom Nightmare. Like, why can't, my girlfriend's always asking, she's like, why do you like the difficulty so hard, and why do you like hard things? It's like, why not? I burn through games. I have to have it as hard as possible, not because I'm a badass, and I really don't think I am, but because I want a challenge. I want it to last as long as possible, and give me something to remember.
Right.
But anyways, sorry.
You answered the same. No, you answered the same question, which is awesome. That's not a tangent. That's perfect. So it's, it's like when I look at this game, I think this is the first time I could actually play a game made by Chris Roberts where it truly is social, where every other game before was the ship, and now this game is the character. Right?
That's a very good way to view it.
And it's like sitting down with Dr. Hawk for a bottle, for a glass of scotch.
Wait. Chris, there better be scotch drinking in Star Citizen. Yeah. If I can't bring people onto my ship and share a glass of scotch, I'm unsplit. No, I wouldn't do that.
But no, you could. But you know what I mean. It actually could happen in the game. We keep on talking about our 890, right? That's one of the ships coming out. That we are going to have all of our friends on our 890, and now a couple of our group members have said they're wing commanders, so they get a Mile High Club. So we're going to have an exclusive club that you can get into and go and meet people and have parties at. This game is like, it's like Battlefield meets Wing Commander meets Second Life. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like there's so much in it that I can't wait to see what I do in Star Citizen a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now,
Come on, everyone knows Star Citizen will last 1,000 years.
Well, yeah. I'm wondering when we can just like hook some kind of cord up to our head and get sucked into the universe.
Well, look how long WoW has been around, and people are still playing it.
Yeah, you say WoW. Go back.
Star Citizen could be the true gamers version of WoW. So there you go.
Right.
Trust me, I could not play it. I leveled up, but I'm like, why, dude? How do you find this fun?
Are you saying WoW?
World of Warcraft.
Okay. Well, I was going to say, let's go even worse than that. EverQuest is still around. And not worse. I don't want to make anybody that listens to my show feel bad. I played EverQuest for years and I still like it, but I can't go back and play it now. I don't have the time in the day to play it. I like this game because, you know, I can see walking into the Star Citizen universe, you know, logging in, talking to my friends, going up to the, you know, say the mercenaries, you know, organization, because they're going to be NPC orgs, and taking a mission and going out and getting it done and getting the money and then logging off and being done. You know, it's like there's always going to be something to do in it. And knowing that they have people like David Haddock and Rob and Eric and, you know, you can name all these people involved with it, I don't think it's ever going to end. I think that this game is going to grow over time. You know?
Same here. And I think that's a very awesome answer.
Yeah. How many ships do you have right now? 3? 5?
Let's see. Hornet 1, 302, and then, yeah, that's 3.
So you have 3. Okay.
Yes. I'll consider that a quick sub-question.
Yeah, that is. I was just interested. I guess outside of the ones that were gifted to me, I'm just 2 above you. I have 5 that I purchased.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So you have a final question for me before we sign off?
Yeah. No, I don't. I really don't, because you answer questions when you ask me questions, and they're similar, and I really like that, because I didn't have to do anything but answer your question to get you to tell me what mine was.
I'm sorry, I'm half
There's nothing
ADHD,
wrong.
so I interrupt a lot.
There's nothing wrong with that. You're on, what episode are you on right now?
I believe this is episode 55, if I am correct. I'd have to double check.
All right. Did you get a chance to watch Wingman's Hangar today?
I had to skim through it because I literally just came home, showered all the sawdust off me, responded to you, and sort of half, you know, phone in the washroom looking at it. So yes, I saw several portions of it. Why?
I was just wondering because they had a lot of information about the summit in there, and I think that's something that's going to be a very big part of your next show once you start getting ready to look through that. That's
a plan.
Yeah.
Eventually, when the game is live, I do have plans for more video content. I know a lot of my viewers, and thank you for your patience, have been saying, yeah, sometimes just listening to this gets boring, but eventually when the game comes out, it's like, oh, well, here's the Hornet F7C, and today is Dr. Hawk's recommendation on taking out the Vanu. Equip this and this and this and this, because I like doing PvP and breakdowns, and, you know, how this player did better than this player.
Well, that's why I do my ship reviews. When I do it, I pick it apart, and I try to see what their specs are, and what the, you know, how big the ship is and everything, and what it possibly can do. Like, everyone always says, oh, this ship's going to be better than that ship, and who cares? Fly the ship that you like. No?
Again, like Dark Souls has shown, everybody can use every weapon effectively.
Right.
So there's some that are obviously better, but I literally have seen people come in and invade me and kill me with a knife, because that's what they chose to specialize in.
Okay, awesome.
Regardless, you have been an absolute dear, Nikki. Thank you very much for taking the time to, you know, talk, interview, come on Star Citizen FM, and in retrospect, be on your show as well. This is the first for me.
You'll be on again, believe me. I think you're going to be on when I drag you into War Thunder, and then when we're in the DFM.
Oh, no.
I think when we're in the DFM, we're going to tear people up.
That sounds fun. Well, let's look forward to that. In the meantime, folks, if you have not for some reason seen Nikki's show, you can always check her out on Star Citizen AA. There will be a link in the description below, as well as an annotation ready for your viewing pleasure. I will let Nikki finish off, and thank you again very much, Nikki. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. And to my fans, if you like the very smooth and sexy voice of Dr. Hawk, you can find him on Star Citizen FM, and I will have a link to his YouTube channel in my description below.
I feel like we're competing for some reson here.
We are.
I have the bigger link. No, I have the bigger description.
Hey, who cares who has the bigger one? It doesn't matter.
I'm sorry.
I keep telling people it doesn't matter, and they don't listen to me.
All right. Well, it's been a pleasure, dear. You take care and fly safe.
Thank you.
See you in the verse.